All right, guys, so the 1.9 notes are our or and compound inequalities. So now we're going to have two inequalities combined by either an or statement or an and statement. So the first ones we're going to talk about are our ors. So what about solving and graphing with or compound inequalities? So notice here, there's an or in between these two inequalities. They're compounded together because of this statement, okay? When we do these, what we have to do is solve for each variable in each problem, and then that should give us two inequalities with just a variable and a number combined with or. So on the left side here, we're going to subtract 4 from each side. We get v is greater than or equal to 4. On the other side, we're going to divide by 5, and we're going to get v is less than 2. Okay? These are combined with the statement or, so we're going to drop the or down here. And what this is saying is v is greater than or equal to 4, or v is less than 2. So what does that look like graphically? At 4, we have a closed circle, and v is greater than that value, so we're going to go to the right. Or our v can be at 2 with an open circle, and it wants to be less than 2, so then we're going to go an arrow to the left. Okay, so all of our or inequalities have an arrow to the right and an arrow to the left that go on forever and ever. Okay, so whenever you see an or statement, your graph should look something like this with arrows pointing out to the sides. So then let's take a look at this next one. Okay, so a little review here. We divide by -4. When we divide by a negative, okay, we have to flip the sign, so now it's a greater than sign. So then we would say b is greater than +1. On the other side, we're going to multiply by 8 on both sides, and we get 0 is greater than b. Remember our or statement right here. Sometimes it's helpful to rewrite this phrase so that our b is on the left. So we could say b is greater than 1, or b is less than 0. Notice inequality is pointing at b, inequality is still pointing at b. So I didn't change anything, I just flipped it around so it made a little more sense to me. B is greater than 1, so we go open circle at 1. Greater than would be all of our values here. B is less than 0, so we go open circle at 0, and then we're going to the left, right? It is an or statement, so it should look like this, where we have two different arrows pointing in opposite directions going forever. Okay, continuing on, so let's do some more solving. Subtract 6 from each side, we get -7n is less than 21. Divide by -7 from both sides, and then we get n is greater than -3. Remember the sign flip, be careful there. On the other side, we subtract 3 from both sides, we get 2n is less than or equal to -12. We divide by 2 from each side, n is still less than or equal to -6. Remember, we're dividing by positive. Even though this is a negative, we're not flipping because we're dividing by positive. So it's an or still. So this is saying n is greater than -3, or n is less than or equal to -6. So -6 is closed circle, less than is going to the left. -3, we're going to have an open circle, and n is greater than that, so it's going to be going to the right. Okay, so all of our ors, arrow to the left, arrow to the right, or. The reason that's important is because ands are a little bit different now. So, solving and graphing with and compound inequalities. So here we go. With an and inequality, same thing. I'm going to just solve on both sides. So we're going to add 6 to each side. -3x is greater than +3. Divide by -3, and we get x is less than -1. Don't forget the sign flip. On the other side, we subtract 7. We go 5x is greater than or equal to -45. Divide by 5 on each side, and we get x is greater than or equal to what is that, 9? Sorry, that's -9. 45 divided by 5 is 9. And then and is what's between this. So this is saying x is less than -1. So we go -1, and our line will be going to the left here. And our x has to be greater than -9. So at -9, we go up. Okay? Because x has to be less than -1 and greater than -9, that means it must be in between those two values. So then the shaded area is the section in the middle. And this is going to be true about all ands. All ands should have some kind of shaded section in the middle. Okay, we're not having arrows go out to the side like or statements. Instead, our arrows would be pointing in towards each other and just connecting the two dots. Whoops, because this is an equal to sign, got to close that circle, right? -9. -9 has a closed circle on it. All right. So ands can also be written in this special format where it's just one big compound inequality without a sentence. These are also and compound inequalities. The way to do this is we just do what we're going to do in a normal solving question to isolate x, but we do it to both sides. So if we have to add 8, we're going to add 8 here, and we're going to add 8 here. So when we do that, that's going to give us -9 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to -12. Okay, because the -8's disappear in the middle there, right? Did I do that right? -14 plus 8. No, I did not. I only added 2 off of that. 4, -6. Right, that's good. So -9, we have a circle at -9 that's closed. -6, we have a circle that's closed there. It's saying x is greater than or equal to -9. X is less than or equal to -6. So then we're between those two values, right? So right here. Another way to read this, -9 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to -6. Okay? So this is literally saying x should be between -9 and -6. All right, last one. Do we have to leave the inequality like this? I actually really like the inequalities like this, so I definitely recommend leaving the inequalities like this. So let's go through and solve. We have options here. We could distribute the 2 inside, or because it's just one term by itself, divide everything by 2. When we do that, that cancels the 2's here. 28 divided by 2 is 14, greater than 10 minus b, greater than 10. Now we subtract 10 from every side. We get 4 is greater than -b is greater than 0. And then the last thing we do is divide everything by -1. And we would get -4 because we divided by a negative, flip that sign, so less than b. Flip this sign also, less than 0. Okay, 0 divided by -1 is still just 0. Because it's negative, notice the sign flip. Careful not to miss that. So then we go -4, open circle, 0, open circle, and then because b is in between those two things, we're drawing that line there, right, in between the two values. So if it starts as a compound inequality like this, guys, I would always leave it like that. It's just easiest to figure out what are you drawing at the end, because it's literally saying b between -4 and 0, right? So we do our b is all of these values between 4 and 0. All right, those are our compound inequalities. As always, if you have questions, email me, Canvas, or email. Great places to reach me, guys. All right, have a great rest of your day.